Hey, who's playing in that baseball game tonight? And did you hear about the NFL draft? Can somebody order pizza? Grab a six-pack while you're out. As long as we've got bread and circuses, let's face it, we're really not going to do much. But the Romans, where the coin or the phrase was coined, the Romans who had bread and circuses ultimately lost both. The circuses were gone. The bread was gone. And then people had an acute interest in local and national and international affairs because their lives were on the line. As a people, we are in a horrific place ethically. The blood of babies crying out to God for vengeance. This abominable crime against God was so-called homosexual marriage. And it's interesting, if you look at the book of Judges, then read 1 Samuel. We'll go all the way through the 1st, 2nd Samuel, 1st, 2nd Kings, 1st, 2nd Chronicle. Look at the prophetic books. You see that God's people go into sin, and then God literally hands them over oftentimes to a foreign power. They have a war come against them. They have an invasion. And then the people repent, but they still have to fight their way out of it, almost always. They don't get to just, God doesn't say, oh, now you've repented, I'll go kill all your enemies for you. No, they still have war. They have war as a sign of God's judgment, and then they have war to get rid of the judgment. And I believe it was Habakkuk who complained to the Lord, said, Lord, these people are wicked. The people that God was using to judge Israel were more wicked than Israel. And God said, I know. I'm going to use them to judge you, and then I'll judge them. And the other thing is, we don't have leaders with courage and with righteousness. If the U.S. Congress right now would do its job, if Mitch McConnell and John Boehner would say, we're not going to let this stand, we're going to pass some type of a law saying that this is null and void, let the president veto it, then we'll override the veto. If they would make this a hill to die on, rather than have our young men and women dying 10 or 20 or 30 years from now, if they would make this a hill to die on politically, maybe we wouldn't have to die on a hill somewhere in Saudi Arabia, literally, 20 years from now. But I don't know. Our Congress hasn't had the guts to stand up to President Obama on immigration, on his health care, on his... the president stood up to the Supreme Court with homosexual marriage. They're spineless wimps. Most of them are spineless wimps, and they're looking out for their own career. They don't want to be seen as being too severe or too radical or bringing forth something that can't be really done. Woe to them. Woe to you, congressmen, because part of the reason America is now descending into horrific judgments and the demons of hell are rejoicing is because you have played the fool and you have played the coward. And when we have our demise as a people, some of the blood of this nation is going to be on your hands because of your failure to act courageously.